Chosen one. Heaven has paused to speak directly into your spirit. This moment you are living right now is not an accident, not a coincidence, and not a passing thought. It is a divine interruption. A hand from eternity has reached into your timeline, and the Spirit whispers, "You are not ordinary. You are part of the meeting of the 1440000. Do not brush this aside. You have always felt it, haven't you? That quiet pull in your soul when the world tries to drown your voice. Yet something inside refuses to die. That sense of being different, of walking a lonely road where others cannot follow. That was not your imagination. It was the mark of heaven resting on you. You were hidden, but not forgotten. You were set apart, even in the years of silence. I want you to hear this clearly. There is a gathering in the Spirit, a meeting that transcends geography and culture. It is the call of the 1440000, the sealed ones, chosen before the foundations of the world, set apart for such a time as this. And right now, as you hear these words, your spirit is being summoned to that meeting. This is not just a message scrolling on your screen. This is heaven standing in front of you, saying, "You belong here." Picture this, a massive hall in eternity, brighter than 1,000 suns, where every chosen one carries a light that cannot be extinguished. Your seat is there. Your name has been written. The reason you've endured the storms, the betrayals, the long seasons of silence is because you were destined to sit in that room. Others laughed when you stayed faithful. They mocked when you chose obedience over compromise. But heaven saw. Heaven recorded. And now, heaven calls. I once heard the story of a young woman, let's call her Miriam. She spent years in obscurity, praying in her small room where no one clapped, no one noticed, and no applause followed. People said she was wasting her life. Yet during that hidden season, God was shaping her heart. She didn't know it, but every whispered prayer, every quiet tear was building her place among the chosen ones. One day, God pulled her from silence into purpose, and suddenly everything made sense. You are walking Miriam's path. You are in that same unfolding story. You see, the chosen ones are not called because of their popularity, their platform, or their perfection. They are called because their hearts belong fully to God. The trials you went through were not punishment. They were preparation. Just as gold must pass through fire, so too have you walked through flames so that your purity might shine. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 3, "Do not harm the land, the sea, or the trees, until the servants of our God are sealed." Do you feel the stirring? The seal of God is protection, identity, and destiny. It cannot be counterfeited. It is the mark of heaven's ownership over your life. When others saw weakness, heaven saw a chosen one being sealed for glory. When others dismissed you, heaven whispered your name. Chosen one. Listen carefully. Your name is being spoken in heaven's meeting. Angels are aligning themselves around your destiny. You are not lost in the crowd. You are numbered among the sealed. This is why you could never fit in. Why compromise always felt like death to your spirit. You were never designed to blend. You were created to blaze. Now I ask you, if this word pierces your heart, do not stay silent. Respond as a prophetic act. type the number 144,000 inches, the comments below. Let it be your declaration to heaven and earth that you are answering the call. And if this message has awakened something in you, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe, so more chosen ones can be summoned to this holy gathering. This is not about numbers on a screen. This is about a family of sealed warriors rising together. When you engage, you are not just pressing a button, you are helping gather the army of God's chosen. Your story is only beginning. Chosen one. The world has yet to see the glory that will be revealed through you. Heaven has paused, and you have answered. And remember this, the gathering of the 144,000 is not a distant vision. It is unfolding even now. Every response, every yes whispered from your spirit is echoing in eternity. You are not alone in this. Across nations, languages, and generations, chosen ones are awakening at the same moment as you. Step forward with courage, because your obedience today becomes the flame that lights the path for many tomorrow. You are marked and set apart. The truth of this calling is not only written in Scripture, but carved into your very existence. Every detour you walked, every closed door that left you frustrated, every strange season when you felt out of place, none of it was random. All of it was evidence of the seal you carry. You do not belong to the systems of this world. You belong to a higher kingdom. Think of it like this. A sculptor works with a block of stone. To outsiders, it looks unfinished, even wasted. But the sculptor knows there is an image hidden inside. With every strike of the chisel, the unwanted pieces fall away until the masterpiece begins to emerge. Your life has been struck by disappointments, rejections, and losses. Yet each strike was shaping you. The image of the chosen was always inside you. It simply needed to be revealed. The chosen seal is not something you earn. It is something you are given. And because of that, the enemy cannot counterfeit it. He can try to distract you, tempt you, lure you away. But he cannot duplicate what God has already stamped upon your spirit. That is why your journey has felt heavy, because your very existence carries authority in realms unseen. I remember the story of a man who felt invisible for most of his life. He was passed over for opportunities, misunderstood by his family, and overlooked in rooms where others seemed to shine. Yet deep down, he sensed a mark upon him that no rejection could erase. Years later, when his appointed time came, doors opened that no human hand could shut. He discovered that the seal on his life had always been his shield. His hidden years were not wasted, they were guarded. You may see yourself in that story. The prophet Ezekiel once spoke of a mark placed on the foreheads of those who grieved over the brokenness around them. It was a mark of distinction, a sign that God himself recognized those who carried his heart in a corrupt generation. In the same way, your tears, your burdens, your longing for righteousness, they have been recorded. They are not weakness. They are evidence that you belong to the sealed ones. Imagine walking through a crowded marketplace. Everyone appears, the same faces blur. Voices rise and fall. But in the spirit realm, you shine differently. There is a seal upon you, glowing like fire, invisible to the natural eye, but undeniable to heaven and to hell. That glow is what has made you a target. That glow is also what has kept you alive when situations should have destroyed you. Your seal means you are owned by God. It means your destiny is untouchable. though it may be delayed. It means your steps are ordered, though the path may twist. You may have thought that your missteps disqualified you, but the seal is greater than your mistakes. Where others see brokenness, heaven sees the mark of belonging. According to what is revealed in the second book of Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 22, He set His seal on us and put His Spirit in our hearts, guaranteeing what is to come. This seal is not a symbol, it is a guarantee. It is the down payment of your destiny. It declares that what God began in you, He will complete. That is why you cannot disappear into the crowd. That is why you cannot drown in despair. The seal is a promise that your story is unfinished, and glory is yet to be revealed. When you reflect on your past, notice how even your detours brought you closer to purpose. Notice how doors that closed preserved you from destruction. Notice how the very battles you thought would break, you actually proved the strength within you. This is the evidence of your mark. You have been carrying this seal without realizing its weight. That is why compromise never felt comfortable, why sin carried a sharper sting for you than for others. The Spirit within you has always whispered, "You are mine," and when you tried to ignore it, life grew restless, even unbearable. That was the seal reminding you, you were not built for ordinary paths. Now see yourself in a new light. You are not an accident drifting through time. You are stamped with eternity's approval. You are God's chosen vessel, and you bear His invisible signature. This makes you unrepeatable, irreplaceable, and unstoppable. The world may not recognize your seal, but creation does. Angels respond to it. Darkness fears it. And heaven will one day gather all who bear it into the assembly of the 1440000, where every sealed one stands shoulder to shoulder in divine glory. Do not despise your journey. The weight you carry is not punishment, but privilege. You walk under a covering that cannot be bought, cannot be stolen, and cannot be broken. You are marked, you are sealed, and you are set apart for such a time as this. The weight of rejection has pressed on you for years. You have walked through seasons where doors shut in your face, where friends drifted away, and where the very people you thought would celebrate you instead chose to ignore you. These wounds cut deep. They left you questioning your worth, wondering if God had forgotten your name. But hear this clearly, rejection was never a sign of your absence from God's plan. It was proof that you were being positioned for something higher. Think of Joseph, cast aside by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, and sold as a slave. What felt like betrayal was actually the hand of God pushing him into the place where nations would one day be fed by his faithfulness. The rejection was painful, but it was purposeful. Your story is not so different. Every no you received was a redirection. Every loss was a reshaping. And every lonely night was heaven's way of setting you apart. There is a strange truth in the life of the chosen. You often don't look chosen when the world sees you. You look overlooked. You look abandoned. You look unimportant. But hidden inside that season of being ignored is the secret fire that cannot be extinguished. And when the time is right, that fire bursts forth in a way no one can deny. You may recall times when you tried to fit in with others, yet something inside resisted. It felt unnatural to compromise, even just to be accepted. That inner resistance was the spirit within you guarding the seal on your life. Others could blend with the crowd, but you were never meant to. You were rejected, so that you could be preserved. I once spoke with a man who told me his story of repeated disappointment. Every job interview ended in silence. Every friendship dissolved without reason. Every prayer seemed unanswered. He confessed that he thought he was cursed. But as time unfolded, he saw something extraordinary. Each closed door prevented him from entering environments that would have corrupted his calling. The so-called curse was actually God's protection. What he saw as rejection was God's redirection. His story mirrors your own. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 21, verse 42, "The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes." Enzito, you are that stone, rejected by builders who could not see your value, yet chosen by the master builder to be placed at the foundation of something eternal. What others discarded, heaven has preserved. What others mocked, heaven has crowned. Rejection, though bitter, has been your tutor. It taught you to lean on God when no one else stood beside you. It trained your ears to hear his whisper in the silence. It gave you the endurance that applause could never have built. That is why, today, you walk with an authority that others cannot explain. And here is where your part comes in. I want you to anchor this revelation not just in your mind, but in your spirit. Take a step of faith right now. In the comments, type chosen stone. Oh, why those two words? Because they are a declaration that what was once thrown away has now become central to God's design. They remind you, and they announce to the world, that rejection could not erase your value. Instead, it positioned you to be a foundation others will one day stand on. By writing those words, you align yourself with the truth that your rejection was the gateway to your rising. This is not superstition. It is a prophetic act of agreement. It is you declaring to heaven, to yourself, and even to the darkness that your story does not end with being overlooked. You are the cornerstone of something God himself is building. So take courage. Let your scars remind you that you survived what others thought would destroy you. Let your tears remind you that you carried more weight than most and still refused to quit. You have been tested by rejection, but you will be revealed in glory. The stone the builders rejected will shine as the cornerstone of God's design. And understand this, the title Chosen Stone is not only a confession, it is a vision. When you declare it, you step into alignment with every rejected one whom God later exalted. David, the overlooked shepherd boy, became king. Esther, the orphan, became queen. Each of them bore rejection before they carried crowns. So when you type those words, you are not only speaking of your past, you are proclaiming your future. You are saying, what others pushed aside, God is lifting up. End quote. Your light terrifies hell. That is why you have felt so much opposition in your life. Even when you could not explain why, there were times you thought you were cursed. Times when attacks came out of nowhere. Times when you felt spiritual heaviness pressing against your chest in the middle of the night. But the truth is not that you were cursed, it is that you were marked. And your mark makes you dangerous to darkness. Light is always noticed in places of deep shadow. A single candle in a dark cave becomes the center of attention. No matter how small the flame, the darkness cannot ignore it. That is what your life has been like. Even when you thought your light was too small to matter, the enemy saw it and trembled. Your very presence carries the power to disrupt the plans of hell. Have you ever wondered why the battles you face often feel more intense than those around you? It is not because God is punishing you. It is because your life is a front line. Darkness aims its sharpest weapons at those whose light can expose it. That is why your path has not been easy. I recall a man who worked quietly, unnoticed by many. Yet whenever he entered a room, arguments stopped, tension broke, and peace settled. He didn't preach or announce his faith. He simply carried a light that shifted the atmosphere. Later he admitted he couldn't explain why private spiritual battles raged around him. The answer is clear. Hell fears the light, even when that light tries to stay hidden. According to the book of James, chapter 3, verse 17, "But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace, loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere." This is the light within you. It is not just loud declarations, but wisdom that heals. Your light is not only what you speak, but how you carry peace into chaos, how you show mercy where others would condemn. That kind of wisdom is untouchable by darkness. Think of your life as a lighthouse on a rugged coast. Waves crash, storms rage, and winds howl against it, but the lighthouse remains fixed, shining a beam into the night. Ships depend on that light to find their way. That is you. Your endurance is not just for yourself, it becomes guidance for others. This is why hell has tried so hard to break you. Another image, a torch carried into a cave. At first the shadows seem overwhelming, stretching tall, but as the torch moves forward, the shadows shrink and scatter. Your life functions the same way. Where you go, the influence of darkness must lessen. It may roar, but it cannot overcome. Perhaps you have asked, why me? The answer is hidden in your identity. You are not just surviving, you are advancing light into territory that darkness once claimed. Every whispered prayer, every act of kindness, every tear of intercession was a weapon that fractured darkness. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply shines. You are not required to prove yourself. You are asked to shine where God positioned you: family, workplace, community. Wherever you go, your light disrupts what is hidden. Do not fear the size of the battle. The enemy would not fight this hard if your life did not carry weight. Even the smallest spark has authority in endless night. You are that spark, that flame. The fire you carry comes not from you, but from the one who sealed you. Darkness knows it, even when you forget. That is why you have been opposed, but also why you cannot be defeated. And never forget this: opposition is confirmation. The pressure you face is proof of the treasure you carry. Hell does not waste resources on empty vessels. It only strikes those who pose a threat. Every sleepless night, every sudden wave of discouragement, every unexplained resistance is a sign that your light has been noticed in the spirit realm. Picture a soldier carrying a banner on the battlefield. Arrows rain toward him, not because he is weak, but because he is visible. That banner makes him a target, but it also makes him a leader. In the same way, your light draws attacks, but it also draws the attention of heaven. Stand firm. Chosen one. Your fire is not fragile, it is eternal. You will endure storms. But storms cannot quench what God has ignited. And in the end, your light will not only survive, it will spread. summoned to the gathering. This is where you stand now. Imagine it, a vast assembly where the 144,000 are called a great host, rising not by human strength, but by divine command. You are part of this story. Your name echoes in the roll call of heaven, and though the world may not recognize you, your place is already reserved. There is a mystery in this moment. The gathering is not merely a vision of the future, it is unfolding even now, in the unseen realm. As the pages of Revelation remind us, God seals his servants before the storm strikes, so that they may stand unshaken when others fall. That is why you feel the urgency in your spirit, because the meeting has begun, and your presence is required. Think of how battles were fought in ancient days. Warriors would gather before the clash, banners raised, torch lifted high, their very presence a declaration of unity and courage. In the same way, heaven gathers its chosen ones, not to boast in their own strength, but to stand as one body, marked with one seal, burning with one light. But let me tell you something personal. Such gatherings are not always glamorous. Often, they are built in quiet obedience. They are strengthened by ordinary sacrifices made by people who may never stand on a stage, but whose faithfulness fuels the fire of the entire assembly. I remember a story of a man who felt invisible in his church. He thought his contributions did not matter until one day, the lights failed during a service. In the darkness, his small candle was lit. Soon, others borrowed from his flame, and the whole room filled with light again. That moment revealed the truth. His small act mattered more than he ever realized. So it is with you. Every prayer, every act of faith, every choice to keep standing is part of the gathering. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 133, verse 1. How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. No, unity is not just standing side by side, it is hearts aligned toward the same call. That is the power of this assembly of chosen ones. Alone, a single flame flickers. Together, we become a wildfire that darkness cannot quench. And now, I want to speak gently, from the heart. If these words stir something in you, if they awaken your spirit to the reality that you are part of this holy gathering, then consider this. Support is one way you help strengthen the assembly. I am not talking about obligation, nor about pressure. Think instead of a tree. Its branches spread wide, offering shade and fruit. But it can only do so because its roots are nourished. Without the unseen support of soil, water, and care, the tree cannot thrive. In the same way, when you choose to give, whether through sharing, subscribing, or even donating, you are nourishing the roots that allow this message to reach more chosen ones across the world. Don't see it as a demand. See it as planting a seed. Seeds do not shout. They simply go into the ground, hidden for a time, but eventually bearing fruit far beyond their size. When you give, you are placing a seed in fertile soil. You may not see the harvest immediately, but heaven records it. Heaven waters it, and in due season, lives will be touched because you chose to sow. So, if you feel led, let your support flow freely, like a river that refreshes dry land. Your gift, no matter the size, becomes part of the stream that carries this message further than one voice ever could. Whether it's clicking subscribe, sharing this word with someone who needs it, or giving a donation from your heart. It all becomes part of the great river of obedience that fuels the gathering of the 1440000. Think of it like this. When you press like, it is as if you strike a match, adding another spark to the fire. When you share, you are carrying a torch into another village, lighting paths you may never walk yourself. When you subscribe, it is like planting your flag on the mountain, saying, "I belong to this call." And when you donate, it is like pouring oil into the lamp, ensuring the flame never dies out. Each act, small in the eyes of men, becomes eternal in the eyes of God. So I invite you, with no pressure and no demand, to consider it. If you are stirred, act. If not, hold this word close. Either way, your place in the gathering remains secure. The meeting of the 1440000 is not a dream, it is reality. You are part of it. You stand in the assembly not as an onlooker, but as one who belongs, and as the sound of heaven's roll call continues, let your spirit rise and answer, "Here I am." Prophetic confirmation. That is what this moment brings you. When God calls, He does not leave His chosen ones wandering in uncertainty. He provides signs, whispers, and patterns that align so clearly they cannot be denied. Perhaps you have noticed unusual numbers reappearing in your life. Perhaps a verse, a dream, or a conversation seemed to arrive at the exact time you needed it most. These are not coincidences. They are heaven's fingerprints on your path. Think back to the times when you prayed in silence and later stumbled upon a word that echoed your heart exactly, or when you asked God for guidance and, without explanation, the right door opened. Those were not accidents. They were confirmations, gentle yet undeniable reminders that you are chosen, that you are being led by the Spirit step by step. The prophet Hosea once declared that God speaks not only through words, but through signs in the earth and sky. And the same God who painted rainbows across Noah's storm, who placed stars in Abraham's vision, and who whispered in Elijah's still small voice, still confirms His promises to His chosen ones today. Sometimes the confirmation is subtle, like a feather on the wind, reminding you of angelic presence. Other times it is loud and unavoidable, like a door slammed shut to keep you from disaster. But however it comes, the pattern is always clear. God has not left you guessing. He has marked your steps. I once heard of a young man who doubted his call. He begged God for clarity, asking if his suffering had purpose. Days later, he walked past a stranger, reading aloud the exact verse that answered his prayer. In that moment, his doubt turned to awe. Confirmation had come, not in a thunderclap, but in a whisper arranged by heaven, as the prophet Jeremiah recorded in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 22 to 23. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for His compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. No, these words are a confirmation in themselves. Every morning you awaken is proof that God's hand still rests on you, that His mercies are renewed, and that His call over your life remains intact. Chosen one. Prophetic confirmation also comes through numbers. Heaven sometimes stamps a specific number into your journey as a signature. It may appear on a clock, a receipt, or even in your dreams. These numbers are not random, They are messages in disguise. Right now, I invite you to respond with a prophetic act. Type 555 inches, the comments. Why this number? Because 5 represents grace. And when repeated, it multiplies. Triple grace is the covering that rests on the chosen ones, sustaining them when others fall. By writing 555, you are declaring that you receive the fullness of God's grace to walk in your calling. It is not superstition, it is alignment. It is you saying, I am marked by grace, and I stand under its covering. Do not underestimate the power of this small act. A single word, a single number typed in faith, can become a stone of remembrance. It is not about the digits themselves, it is about the agreement they represent. When you comment 555, you are stepping into agreement with heaven's confirmation that you are chosen, sealed, and equipped. Think of it as planting a flag on holy ground. Every time you see that number afterward, you will remember this moment, this confirmation, this call. It will remind you that you did not imagine your journey. You are not lost. You are aligned with the gathering of the 144,000, and grace has sealed your place. Prophetic confirmation is the language of heaven breaking through the noise of earth. It reassures you when doubt creeps in, lifts you when exhaustion weighs you down, and strengthens you when the battle rages. Every whisper, every sign, every number is heaven leaning close to say, you are mine. None, so watch carefully in the days ahead. Keep your spirit attentive. The signs will continue. They are not random. They are the echoes of God's voice, confirming what He already declared long ago. You are chosen, and you are called. And when those confirmations arrive, do not dismiss them as small. A whisper from God is heavier than 1,000 shouts from the world. A single number, a single verse, a single encounter can redirect on entire destiny. When you honor the signs, you honor the sender. That is why even the smallest confirmation deserves your attention, because it carries the weight of eternity in a moment. From hidden to revealed, that is the season you are stepping into now. For a long time, you have lived in the shadows. You have prayed in secret, carried your burdens quietly, and walked roads where few noticed your steps. Silence has been your companion, and obscurity your teacher. Yet even in the hidden place, heaven was preparing you. You were not forgotten. You were being refined. Hiddenness is not punishment. It is protection. Seeds are not left on the surface of the soil. They are buried deep in the dark, unseen, and seemingly forgotten. But in that place, roots grow strong enough to sustain a tree. Your hidden years have been your rooting years. Without them, you would not stand firm when winds come. Consider David. Before he faced Goliath, he was in the fields with sheep. No one applauded his songs under the stars. No crowds gathered to witness his sling and stone. Yet in those silent fields, he learned the skill and faith that would later shake nations. His hidden life became the foundation for his public victory. In the same way, your unseen prayers, your unnoticed sacrifices, your private battles have been shaping you for a season when the world will see what God has planted within you. You thought you were overlooked, but you were actually being reserved. I once met a woman who spent years caring for her bedridden mother. She never traveled, never built a career, never had a platform. She thought her life was small, Yet one day, her simple testimony of faithfulness touched a broken young man and brought him back from despair. What she considered wasted years became the foundation of someone else's salvation. What looked hidden was, in reality, deeply revealed in eternity. According to what is written in the book of Luke, chapter 8, verse 17, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open." This is both a promise and a comfort. Nothing you have done in secret for the Lord will remain invisible forever. Every tear, every act of obedience, every moment of endurance will be revealed in its time. Heaven keeps a record, and heaven reveals when the hour is right. Hiddenness has also been your shield. If you had been revealed too soon, the weight of exposure might have crushed you, just as a fruit must ripen before it is picked. You needed time to mature in silence. God was not delaying you, He was protecting you. Think of a pearl forming inside an oyster. For years, it stays concealed, layer after layer, building in the dark, unseen. Only when it is fully formed does it emerge, shining with beauty. You are that pearl. Every season of quiet struggle has added layers of strength and radiance to your soul. It may be that you are still in the in-between, no longer completely hidden, yet not fully revealed. If so, take heart. This is the place of transition. The pressure you feel is not abandonment, it is birth. Just as a child hidden in the womb eventually pushes forth into the world, so your calling is pressing through the narrow place into visibility. And when the revealing comes, it will not be because you forced it. It will be because the appointed time has arrived. You will not need to demand attention, for light cannot stay hidden under a basket. It shines because it must. You will shine because you were made to. Let this truth steady you. Your hidden years were not wasted. They were holy. They were the womb of your destiny. And when the curtain lifts, what God has been shaping in secret will astonish not only others, but even yourself. The shift is coming, from hidden to revealed, from silence to song, from the back of the line to the place prepared for you all along. And when it happens, you will see clearly what you could not see in the dark, that every hidden moment was worth it. Do not despise the shadows, for they trained your eyes to see the light more clearly. Every silent season carved wisdom into your soul that applause could never give. When the revealing comes, you will carry humility, because you remember what it felt like to be unseen. That humility will guard your heart when others begin to notice your light. The hidden place also gave you intimacy. It taught you to hear God's voice without distraction, to walk closely with Him when no one else was watching. Now, as you step into visibility, you will shine not from pride, but from purity. That is why the revealing will last. It is rooted in secret faithfulness. The angelic alignment surrounding your life is not a myth or a poetic idea, it is reality. Scripture reveals again and again that angels are ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation. If you are sealed among the chosen, then heaven has already assigned angelic presence to guard, guide, and strengthen you. You may not always see them, but you have surely felt them. That unexplainable escape from danger, that sudden peace in the middle of fear, that quiet strength when you thought you could not go on. All these moments carry the fingerprints of angelic intervention. They are not coincidences, they are evidence. Consider Jacob in the wilderness. As he slept with a stone for a pillow, he saw in a dream a ladder reaching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending upon it. That vision was not just for him. It is a reminder that earth and heaven are not disconnected. There is a traffic of divine activity around the chosen ones. The unseen is more populated than you imagine. Think of Elisha's servant, who trembled in fear when enemy armies surrounded their city. Elisha prayed that the young man's eyes would be opened, and suddenly he saw the hills ablaze with horses and chariots of fire. The enemy seemed overwhelming until the angelic host was revealed. The truth was this: the chosen were never outnumbered, only unaware. So it is with you. When you feel surrounded, when the weight of opposition seems unbearable, lift your eyes. You are not standing alone. There is an alignment of angels stationed to your side. Some guard your path, some war on your behalf, and some whisper strength into your spirit when human words fall short. The book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11 declares, "For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways." No, notice the certainty he will command, not might command. It is not a possibility, but a promise. You walk with angelic orders surrounding your life. I once heard of a woman who survived a car accident so severe that even the emergency workers could not understand how she walked away. Later, she described feeling as though hands had held her firmly in place, shielding her from impact. Though invisible, those hands bore the mark of angelic intervention. Her story is not rare. It is a glimpse of what often happens unseen. Sometimes angels appear in ordinary forms. Hebrews reminds us that some have entertained angels without knowing it, mistaking them for strangers. Perhaps a timely kindness from someone you never met again was more than chance. Perhaps the stranger who spoke encouragement and then vanished was more than human. These are mysteries, but they remind us of the reality. Angelic alignment surrounds those chosen by God. This alignment is not random. It is strategic. Armies do not station themselves without reason. Angels stand where the chosen ones walk because their destinies carry weight in heaven's plan. The greater your call, the stronger the alignment around you. That is why the battle has felt fierce, because heaven's resources are invested heavily in your story. There is an image that might help you understand. Picture a king sending his envoy into hostile territory. Would he not surround that envoy with guards, scouts, and protectors to ensure the mission succeeds? You are that envoy, sent into this world carrying heaven's message. And because of that, you walk with heaven's guard. This should not make you careless, but it should make you confident. The traps of the enemy are real, but they are not final. Snares may be set, yet angelic hosts stand ready to intervene. You may feel fragile, but you are covered by strength greater than your own. When you pray, you often awaken this alignment. Daniel prayed, and though his answer was delayed, an angel fought for 21 days to bring the response. Prayer stirs angelic movement. Your hidden intercessions are not wasted words. They are commands that release heaven's armies into motion. And when the final gathering of the 144,000 takes place, the alignment will be visible. The chosen will not stand alone, but shoulder to shoulder with angelic hosts. What you now sense in part will be seen in fullness. Heaven's army and earth's sealed ones will rise together. So, take heart. Even if your eyes see emptiness, your spirit must know the truth. You are surrounded by more than you can count. The angelic alignment is your unseen strength, your hidden shield, and your constant companion. There comes a moment when revelation requires response. Words can stir your heart. Visions can lift your eyes. But without action, they risk fading like morning mist. That is why this section is not only about hearing, it is about answering. You have heard that you are chosen. You have seen how heaven aligns angels around you. You know rejection was redirection, and hiddenness was protection. But now the call comes. Will you step forward in obedience? The prophets of old often invited the people to respond with a word, a gesture, or a simple act. These were not empty rituals, they were prophetic anchors. Actions that tied heaven's word to earth's reality. When Joshua built a memorial of 12 stones, he was not decorating a riverbank. He was establishing a testimony that future generations could point to. In the same way, your response today can become a testimony you carry into tomorrow. The Word of God declares in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so you and your children may live. This is not merely history, it is a living invitation. The choice is still before you, despair or destiny, silence or song, drifting or rising. And your choice is not silent, it echoes. That is why I invite you, here and now, to anchor your choice with a declaration. Type these words in the comments, here now. And why this phrase? Because it is the opposite of delay. It silences the voice that says, later, maybe another time. By saying, here now, you are declaring that you will not wait for perfect conditions. You will not hide behind excuses. You are present, willing, and surrendered in this very moment. This phrase is more than letters on a screen. It is an act of agreement with heaven. It is a banner raised over your life, declaring that you belong in the gathering of the 144,000, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Think of Isaiah when he heard the voice of the Lord asking, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? He did not stall or calculate. He answered, here am I. Send me. That was his here now moment. It shifted him from bystander to prophet, from ordinary to chosen. Your here now carries the same weight. It may look small, but heaven records it. Angels witness it. And one day, when you stand among the sealed, you will look back and remember this as the moment you answered boldly. So let this not be a casual scroll, not another forgotten message. Let it be the place where your spirit rose and declared, here now, always, because when you answer in the present, eternity begins to move. When you say, here now, you are stepping out of the shadow of hesitation. Many people miss their moment, not because they were unwilling, but because they delayed. Delay slowly becomes disobedience. But a chosen one cannot afford delay. Your calling requires immediacy, because eternity is already in motion. Think of Peter stepping out of the boat. The water was not calm. The wind was not silent. Yet at the sound of Jesus' voice, he declared with his steps, here now. He did not wait for the storm to end. He walked in the middle of it. That is what sets the chosen apart. They respond before the circumstances align, because their faith is already aligned. Here now also declares presence. Too often your mind lives in the past, regretting what was lost, or in the future, worrying about what might come. But heaven's call always sounds in the present. God introduces himself as I am, not I was or I will be. To say, here now, is to meet him in his own eternal present, where miracles happen and destiny is shaped. And this declaration carries weight beyond you. When you say, here now, you give permission for others to rise as well. Courage is contagious. Your choice becomes a spark in the spirit that lights torches in people you may never meet. The ripple of your present obedience can cross generations. So let "here now" not be words you type lightly. Let them be a covenant that your feet will follow where your spirit has declared, a covenant that you belong, that you are present, and that nothing will pull you back into delay again. Today, you anchor yourself. Today, you stand with the gathering. Today, your heart declares, here now, the sealed assembly. This is what you are part of. To be sealed is to be marked with a divine imprint, a sign of belonging to God in a world that often feels like shifting sand. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are part of a sacred gathering, preserved for a higher purpose. When the Bible speaks of the 144000, it is not simply recounting numbers. It is unveiling a truth. God has always kept a remnant, a people set apart, a living testimony of his faithfulness. To be counted among them is not about status, it is about surrender. You are sealed not because of your perfection, but because of your willingness. Think of a wax seal pressed into a letter. The seal does not change the paper itself, but it identifies the sender. In the same way, the seal of God on your life declares whose you are. Wherever you go, even unseen, you carry that invisible imprint. Angels recognize it. Darkness fears it. Heaven rejoices in it. I once met a man who described feeling out of place everywhere he went. He could never blend in with the crowd, and he thought it was a curse. Later, through prayer, he realized it was not a curse, it was the seal. His discomfort in compromise was proof that he belonged to a different kingdom. What he thought was rejection was, in truth, confirmation of his place among the sealed. Scripture says in the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 13, when you believed, you were sealed in him with the promised Holy Spirit. That seal is not temporary. It is eternal. It is the Spirit within you, whispering that you belong, even when the world denies it. And here is where your heart can participate. The sealed assembly grows stronger when we link arms together. Your engagement is not about numbers on a platform. It is about a family recognizing one another and walking as one. When you press like, imagine it as striking a drum in a great march. One beat may seem small, but together they create a rhythm that carries us forward. When you share, you become a messenger, as if carrying a torch into another village. Lighting paths you may never walk yourself. When you subscribe, think of it as engraving your name onto a temple pillar, declaring, I belong to this house. I stand with the sealed. End quote. And when you donate, it is like pouring oil into the lamp of the sanctuary. Without oil, the flame flickers and dies. With oil, it burns through the night, guiding many home. Do not hear these as commands. Hear them as invitations, beautiful opportunities to participate in something eternal. No one is forced to strike the drum, to carry the torch, to engrave their name, or to pour the oil. But when someone chooses to, it is an act of love. It is voluntary, and it is powerful. Think of the widow who placed 2 copper coins into the temple treasury. To the world, it looked insignificant. To Jesus, it was priceless. Why? Because it was given freely, from the heart. In the same way, every act of support you choose to give, whether through a like, a share, a subscription, or a donation, becomes precious in heaven's eyes. And if you choose only to listen, that is enough too. The seal remains. The assembly still counts you. Your worth is not measured in action, but in identity. Still, if your heart stirs, let your response flow naturally, like rivers pouring into the sea. Each one adds to the tide that will one day flood the earth with light. The sealed assembly is rising. You are not a spectator. You are part of it. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. Your light matters. And as the roll call of the chosen continues, let your heart rejoice that your name is written, your seal is secure, and your destiny is unfolding. And remember this, the sealed assembly is not built in a single moment, but through countless acts of faith and devotion. Every choice to stand firm, every whispered prayer in the dark, every quiet yes to God becomes another stone in this living temple. When you see yourself as part of this greater whole, the weight of loneliness begins to lift. You realize you are joined with voices across the earth, with lights that burn in every nation, forming one body. So walk with confidence. You are not forgotten, not adrift, not isolated. You are sealed, connected, and carried in the embrace of a vast and holy family. Fire upon the altar. This is the image that best describes what has been happening in your life. Even in the seasons when you thought nothing was moving, every prayer you whispered, every tear that slid silently down your face, every groan, too deep for words, has not vanished into the air. They have been collected. They have been stored. They have been placed upon the altar of heaven, where the fire of God consumes them, turning pain into incense and sorrow into strength. The altar is not only a place of sacrifice, it is a place of transformation. In the ancient temple, fire never went out upon the altar. Day and night it burned, fed by the offerings of the people. This fire symbolized God's unbroken presence and His relentless faithfulness. Your life mirrors that altar. What you laid down, willingly or unwillingly, became fuel for a fire that has not ceased to burn. You may not have noticed it, but every time you surrendered, when you chose forgiveness instead of bitterness, when you held on to hope instead of despair, when you knelt to pray, though your body was weary, you were laying offerings on the altar. The fire received them, and heaven recorded them. There is a story told of Hannah, who wept bitterly before the Lord because of her barrenness. To those around her, her tears looked wasted, even mistaken for drunkenness. But to heaven, her tears were fuel. Her cries rose like smoke before the throne, and in due time the fire answered with life. From her pain came Samuel, a prophet who shifted the course of Israel. This is what fire upon the altar does. It takes what feels wasted and transforms it into destiny. We find in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 1, "Offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Lie. Notice the language, living sacrifice. It is not about one single moment of surrender, but a continual offering of your life. Every day you wake and choose obedience. Every time you resist the pull of darkness. Every act of quiet faith is part of that sacrifice. And God, who sees in secret, ignites his fire upon it. Perhaps you have wondered why your prayers seemed unanswered, why your sacrifices felt unnoticed. But altars are not built for applause. They are built for fire. And though the fire may seem delayed, it never fails. In the hidden chambers of eternity, flames are consuming what you have placed down. In time, you will see the smoke rise, carrying the fragrance of your offering into visible change. Picture a coal buried in ashes. To the human eye, it looks extinguished, but when breath comes, the ember glows again, and fire leaps forth. That is your altar. Even when you thought everything had gone cold, heaven's breath was waiting to fan the embers. And suddenly, fire appears again, stronger, hotter, brighter than before. Think also of incense rising in the temple. Incense was made from crushed spices, ground and blended with care. Only when burned did its fragrance spread through the holy place. Your crushed seasons, the times you felt broken beyond repair, were not wasted. They became the incense that, when touched by fire, filled the atmosphere with a fragrance that pleased the Lord. Fire upon the altar is not meant only for your own transformation. It becomes light for others. Just as the flames of the temple altar could be seen from afar, drawing worshippers closer, so the fire of your surrendered life draws others toward God. People may not know the depth of your pain, but they will be warmed by the heat of your perseverance. Your tears have weight. Your prayers have substance. Your surrender has sound in heaven, and none of it has been lost. Every act has been gathered upon the altar, and every altar burns with fire that never dies. Take comfort, then, that you have not labored in vain. The fire is burning, the incense is rising, and heaven is responding. Soon, what was hidden will be revealed in flame, and you will see that nothing placed on the altar is ever wasted. And when that moment comes, you will finally understand why the waiting was so long and the fire seemed so delayed. God was not ignoring you. He was perfecting the sacrifice, ensuring that when his fire fell, it would not burn out quickly, but blaze unshakable. Your altar is not temporary, it is eternal, and the flames upon it will testify that you have been faithful, that you endured, and that your offering has become a beacon of glory, pointing others back to him. The number of destiny is not random, it carries weight, symbolism, and prophetic power. Throughout Scripture, God has used numbers to reveal his design and to remind his people that nothing is without meaning. 7 marked completion. 12 marked authority. 40 marked testing. And so on. Numbers are not accidents, they are divine fingerprints. The 144000 themselves are a number of destiny. They symbolize fullness, order, and heavenly selection. You are counted not by chance but by intention. Heaven does not miscalculate. When God counts, he does not overlook, and he does not make mistakes. You are part of a design so precise that even the number of hairs on your head has been recorded. Numbers are also reminders of promise. Consider Abraham, who was told to look at the stars. Every star he saw was a number in the promise of descendants, or the Israelites in the wilderness, who counted 40 years before entering rest. God's timeline is measured, not chaotic. And now, in your own life, numbers appear as confirmations that your destiny is unfolding according to divine order. Sometimes you may notice a pattern, a clock striking the same hour repeatedly, a receipt with digits that catch your eye, or a verse number that arrives with uncanny accuracy. These are not coincidences. They are signals of destiny, small reminders from heaven that you are walking a path already written. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." Completion, that is what numbers often whisper. You are not abandoned mid-story. The work will not remain half-built. What God started, He will finish. And every confirmation through numbers is a reminder of this truth. Now, I invite you to take a prophetic step. Anchor this truth with a declaration. Type 7,777 inches, the comments. Why this number? Because 7 is the number of completion and divine perfection. 4 sevens together form a declaration of overflowing wholeness. A reminder that your destiny is not fragile but secured, layered, and abundant. By writing 7,777, you are proclaiming, "My destiny will be completed in God's perfect order. Nothing will be left unfinished." This is not superstition. It is agreement. It is you saying Amen in number form, aligning your spirit with heaven's design. Think of it like placing a stone of remembrance, as the Israelites did after crossing the Jordan River. Each stone testified that God had brought them through. Your 7,777 is a digital stone, a marker of faith that you believe completion belongs to you. So do not dismiss it as small. Even the smallest acts, when done in faith, echo in eternity. This number is not just digits, it is destiny. Let it anchor you when doubt whispers. Let it remind you when waiting feels long. Let it proclaim that what God begins, He always brings to fullness. Your number is written, your destiny is sealed, and your completion is certain. The beauty of this act is that it transcends time and space. When you type 7,777, you are not just writing a number, you are stepping into the same rhythm as countless chosen ones across the world who are also answering heaven's call. It is like hearing a distant drum beat and realizing you are part of the same march. Though you walk in different lands, unity takes shape not through location, but through alignment. And remember, destiny is never rushed. Even Jesus, the Son of God, waited 30 years before beginning his public ministry. Those hidden decades were not wasted. They were part of the completion process. So when you declare 7,777, you are also declaring patience. You are saying, "I will not despise the waiting, because I know the ending is secure." Think of an artist painting a great mural. From up close, the strokes seem random, even messy, but step back, and you see the masterpiece. Your life may look like scattered strokes right now, but heaven already sees the finished picture. 7,777 becomes your agreement that the masterpiece will be revealed at the right time. And what happens when the work is complete? Joy, fulfillment, overflow. You will look back and realize that every tear, every rejection, every season of silence was part of the pattern leading to glory. Nothing was wasted. Everything was woven. So hold on to this truth. You are part of a number that cannot be erased. God's order surrounds you. His perfection secures you, and His completion awaits you. The scrolls are opening, and with them comes revelation that has been hidden for generations. These are not ordinary scrolls, written with ink and paper. They are living records, carrying truths sealed until the appointed time. And now, as the days quicken, as the gathering of the chosen grows closer, the seals are being broken, and wisdom long veiled is being unveiled. Think of Daniel, who was told to seal up the words of prophecy until the end. His visions were profound, yet much of what he saw was reserved for a future generation, the chosen who would walk in days of fulfillment. That generation is not distant. It is now. You stand in the very days Daniel foresaw, when scrolls once sealed are being opened before the eyes of the faithful. These scrolls contain more than predictions. They carry identity. They remind the chosen who they are, where they belong, and what authority they carry. To read them is not only to gain knowledge, but to awaken destiny. For when you understand the words written about you before time began, you no longer walk as one uncertain, you walk as one assured, marked, and purposed. Consider the book of Revelation itself, where John wept because no one was worthy to open the scroll. But then he saw the Lamb who was slain, and suddenly the weeping ended. The Lamb alone was worthy, and he began to break the seals. That moment was not only about prophecy, it was about access. Jesus gave his chosen ones access to mysteries others longed to see but could not. As it is written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 16, "This is the covenant I will make with them after that time, says the Lord. I will put my laws in their hearts, and I will write them on their minds." Oh, here lies the mystery of the scrolls. They are not merely opened before you, they are written within you. Heaven's handwriting is etched into your spirit. That is why certain truths resonate so deeply when you hear them as if you always knew, yet had forgotten until now. It is because the scrolls of destiny were written inside you before you were born. I once knew a woman who said she often dreamed of ancient libraries. In her dreams, she would walk between endless shelves, drawn to one book that carried her name. When she opened it, she always woke with tears, sensing that her life had meaning far beyond what she could see. She didn't realize it then, but she was glimpsing the scroll of her destiny. And so it is with many of the chosen. Your spirit remembers what your mind struggles to comprehend. The opening of the scrolls is not for entertainment. It is for empowerment. As the seals break, you will understand why you endured, what you did, why certain battles raged around you, why certain doors opened while others slammed shut. You will see the hidden pattern, and the confusion will give way to clarity. These scrolls also reveal strategy. They are not passive words, but living instructions. In ancient times, kings unrolled scrolls before battle to reveal the plan of war. In the same way, God is unrolling scrolls in this hour to reveal how His chosen should move, speak, and stand. You are not left without guidance. You are being handed heaven's blueprint. Imagine standing in a courtroom where the verdict is sealed in an envelope. Anxiety fills the air until the seal is broken. and the truth revealed, relief or joy floods in as certainty replaces fear. That is what happens as scrolls open in your life. The unknown is replaced by the known. You realize your verdict was always in your favor, written by the Lamb who gave his life to secure it. So walk forward with confidence. The scrolls are opening over you. What was hidden is being revealed. What was sealed is now spoken. And as you embrace these truths, you step into a clarity generations longed to see. You are not left in the dark. The light of revelation burns brightly, and it is leading you deeper into your calling. And when the scrolls open, they do more than inform you. They transform you. Knowledge alone fills the mind, but revelation awakens the spirit. Suddenly, you begin to see yourself differently. The very struggles that once felt meaningless now appear as training written long ago. The victories that seemed delayed now shine as promises fulfilled in perfect timing. The scrolls are not distant relics, they are your living story, unfolding line by line as heaven reveals what was always written about you. The crown of endurance is one of the greatest treasures reserved for the chosen. It is not given for talent, nor for moments of ease, but for those who have endured when quitting seemed easier. Every trial, every delay, every season of waiting was not in vain. It was weaving a crown, strand by strand, upon your head. Endurance is not glamorous. It rarely looks like triumph in the moment. More often, it looks like rising again after falling, whispering prayers when words feel heavy, and holding on to hope when the night feels endless. Endurance is forged in the fire of persistence, not in the comfort of applause. And yet, it is this quiet, hidden perseverance that heaven celebrates most. Consider Job, who lost everything in a whirlwind of suffering. His friends misunderstood him. His body failed him, and his future looked erased. But even in his despair, he declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That trust became the foundation of endurance. And in the end, Job not only saw restoration, but encountered God more deeply than ever before. His scars became his crown. Your scars, too, are not marks of shame, but of authority. They tell a story that you walked through fire and did not burn, that you passed through floods and did not drown. Each scar is a jewel in your crown of endurance, proof that you carried weight heavier than most and yet did not collapse. As the Apostle James reminds us in his letter, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." The promise is clear. The crown is not for the strongest in the world's eyes, but for those who keep walking when the path breaks their strength. It is not for the fastest, but for the faithful. Think of a runner in an ancient marathon. The race was not about speed alone, it was about finishing. Dust clung to the body, muscles screamed with pain, and spectators cheered louder for those who stumbled yet finished than for those who sprinted easily. Endurance was the true mark of victory. In the same way, your life's race has not been about perfection, but persistence. There is an image of a tree on a mountainside, battered by wind and snow. Its trunk is scarred, its branches bent, yet it still stands tall. Other trees in the valley may look smoother, but none carry the same weight of endurance. That mountain tree wears a crown invisible to the eye but undeniable to the spirit. You are that tree. Endurance also refines character. Waiting seasons stretch patience. Disappointment deepen compassion, and struggles sharpen faith. The chosen who endure emerge with hearts that reflect the character of Christ, gentle, strong, merciful, and unshakable. Without endurance, faith remains shallow. With endurance, it becomes a rock on which others can lean. I once heard a story of a woman who cared for a chronically ill child for decades. Her days were filled with exhaustion, her nights with quiet tears, yet she refused to give up hope, clinging to God even when healing seemed far away. People who met her said they felt peace in her presence, as though she carried something eternal. She did. Her crown of endurance was forming. Even in the ordinary grind of her life, you may feel weary, worn from years of struggle, but know this: every step you take, even trembling, is adding to your crown. The enemy wants you to see only the exhaustion, but heaven sees the glory being woven into your story. The crown of endurance is not flashy. It is not decorated with jewels of this world. It is forged in fire, cooled in tears, and polished by faith. And when placed upon your head, it will shine brighter than gold, because it carries the weight of heaven's approval. So keep walking, even if it is slow, even if it feels unseen, even if it feels endless. Every step is counted, every tear recorded, every moment of endurance remembered. And in the end, when the gathering of the chosen stands complete, your crown will testify that you did not give up. And when that crown rests upon you, it will not simply be a symbol of survival, it will be the proof of love. For only love endures when everything else fails. Love kept you standing. Love kept you praying. Love kept you walking through the dark valleys. The crown of endurance is, at its core, the crown of love, unbreakable, unyielding, and eternal. The global trumpet call is sounding. It is not the blast of human instruments, but the deep vibration of creation itself. The earth groans, the skies stir, and hearts everywhere are awakening with the knowing something greater is unfolding. The chosen are rising, not scattered, not confused, but gathered in unity like an army summoned by one clear sound. And you are part of this call. Trumpets in Scripture always carried significance. They were sounded to summon armies, to declare victory, or to announce the presence of the King. Today, the trumpet resounds over your life, calling you out of silence, out of fear, and into the purpose for which you were marked. You are not hidden anymore. You are summoned to stand, to shine, to march with those who carry the seal of heaven. As it is written in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 52, in a flash, at the last trumpet, the dead will be raised, imperishable, and we will be changed. This is not a trumpet of doom for you. It is a trumpet of transformation. It reminds you that everything broken will be made whole. Everything temporary will give way to the eternal. And even now, that trumpet call is pulling you toward change, toward the fullness of your destiny. But let us pause here. The trumpet is not only about sound, it is about response. What good is a call if no one answers? What value is a song if no one joins? That is where your part enters. And your response need not be heavy or forced. It can be simple, natural, beautiful. When you press like, it is as if you lift a small banner in the great parade of the chosen. One banner alone might seem small, but together they create a sea of color, declaring, "We are here. We belong." When you share, imagine it as releasing a dove into the sky. That dove may fly farther than you could ever travel yourself, carrying the message of this trumpet call into homes and hearts you may never see. When you comment, it is like carving your initials into a stone at the base of a monument. Generations later, people may read those markings and know that you were part of this moment, that you answered when the trumpet sounded. When you subscribe, it is as if you step into the great assembly hall, taking your place among the family. You are no longer on the outside listening from afar. You are seated inside, counted and known. And when you donate, think of it as placing wood upon the great fire that lights the way for many. Without wood, flames shrink and flicker. With every piece added, the fire grows, warming those who are cold and guiding those who are lost. Your giving is not demanded, it is a gift. A log placed freely on the altar of light. Do you see? None of these acts are about pressure. They are invitations to participate in something eternal. Each is an image, a gesture, a ripple of love that spreads further than you realize. You are never forced to lift a banner, to release a dove, to carve your initials, to take a seat, or to place wood on the fire. But when you choose to, heaven smiles, because it is voluntary, pure, and beautiful. And if you choose only to listen, you are no less sealed, no less chosen. The trumpet still calls your name. The invitation is always present. Yet consider this: every great movement in history was marked not only by those who heard, but by those who answered. The trumpet sounds, and the chosen respond, not with fear, but with joy, not with hesitation, but with faith. You are living in such a moment. The global trumpet is calling, summoning you to lift your head, to steady your heart, to know you are part of a remnant that cannot be erased. And as you answer in your own way, through your voice, your choices, your presence, you add your note to the song of heaven that is rising across the earth. The trumpet is sounding. You are not forgotten. You are not silent. You are summoned. And think of it this way: each action you take, whether like, share, comment, subscribe, or donate, is not just a gesture, but another note in the symphony of the trumpet call. One sound alone may fade, but together they form a chorus that shakes the heavens and declares, "The chosen ones are awake. You will not be moved." That is the decree over your life. The anchor that steadies you when storms rise and winds roar. It is not because you are unshakable in your own strength, but because the one who holds you cannot be moved. When you belong to him, you stand on a foundation deeper than oceans and stronger than mountains. Life has tried to sway you. You have felt the pull of disappointment, the pressure of rejection, the weight of loneliness. At times, you thought you might collapse. Yet, here you are, still standing. That alone is testimony enough. It proves that unseen hands have carried you, that an eternal root system has held you firm beneath the soil of your life. Picture a tree planted by rivers of water. Its branches bend in the storm. Its leaves may shake, but its roots go deep. Though seasons change, droughts, floods, winds, the tree endures, because it drinks from a source that does not run dry. You are that tree. The river is the Spirit of God flowing through you, sustaining you when everything else dries up. The Book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 3 declares, "That person is like a tree, planted by streams of water, yielding fruit in season. Their leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers." Notice the promise. Fruit comes in season, not always immediately, not always in the moment you expect, but inevitably, because what is rooted in God cannot be barren forever. I recall a man who built his house near the coast. Neighbors warned him about storms that often swept the area. Instead of fear, he invested deeply into the foundation, driving stakes and stone far beneath the surface. Years later, a hurricane struck. Many houses crumbled, but his stood strong, not because of walls or roof, but because of what was beneath. So it is with you. What people see on the surface is not the reason you endure. It is the depth of what lies unseen. Being unmovable does not mean you never feel pressure. Even mountains tremble with earthquakes, yet they remain. What it means is that no matter what shakes around you, your center holds. Your identity is not up for negotiation. Your calling is not erased by storms. Your destiny is not decided by circumstances. It is secured by the one who spoke the stars into place. Think of Daniel in Babylon. Empires shifted. Kings rose and fell. But Daniel remained steadfast in prayer, unshaken in loyalty. His world moved around him, yet he did not move from the altar of devotion. That is the kind of strength you carry, not loud or boastful, but firm, quiet, immovable. Your trials have tested this foundation. Each wave that hit you was a chance for collapse, but instead it revealed the bedrock beneath you. That is why you should not despise the storms. They proved what you were made of. There is also beauty in stillness. While the world rushes, chases, and crumbles, you stand calm. Stillness is not inactivity, it is confidence. It says, "I will not be rushed out of season, nor shaken out of place. I know who holds me." That calmness unsettles the enemy more than shouting ever could. I once heard of a lighthouse keeper who stayed in his tower during a violent storm. Ships tossed, waves crashed, but the beam of the lighthouse did not waver. Sailors later testified that they survived because of that steady light. You may not realize it, but your unmovable faith works the same way. Others are guided, strengthened, even saved because your light has not flickered. Even in chaos, there is an ancient promise echoed through the prophets. God establishes his people like Zion, unshakable, enduring forever. This is not wishful thinking, it is a covenant. To be chosen is to be planted where nothing can uproot you. So let the winds howl, let the earth tremble. You will not be moved, for your roots drink from eternity. Your foundation rests on the rock, and your destiny is bound to one who never changes. Stand tall, chosen one. Stand calm, stand strong. You are unmovable, unshakable, established for glory. And remember, being unmovable does not mean being untouched by life's winds. It means that even when you bend, you do not break. Even when you are pressed, you do not collapse. You are like iron forged in fire, tested, hammered, refined, yet stronger with every strike. This is why the enemy cannot win against you. What he intends for harm only deepens your roots and sharpens your strength. Truly, you are established forever. Final sealing glory, that is the moment toward which all your days have been pointing. From the silence of your hidden years to the storms that nearly broke you. From the rejection that pressed you down to the fire that purified you. Every step has been leading to this, the unveiling of glory that cannot fade. Sealing is not just protection, it is ownership. It is the divine signature written over your life. The mark that says, "This one belongs to me." When you walk into the eternal assembly, the mark will shine brighter than crowns of gold or robes of white. It will testify that you endured, that you were faithful, that you belong among the 144,000 gathered before the throne. Picture that moment, a vast sea of people, each carrying light that is not borrowed but born within them. No jealousy, no rivalry, only perfect harmony as every chosen one stands shoulder to shoulder. In their foreheads shines the seal of God. Brighter than the sun, angels form a canopy above, and creation itself breathes in awe. This is the destiny you have been moving toward. The prophet John once wrote of this vision, describing how the sealed stood before the throne, singing a new song that no one else could learn. That song is not just melody, it is testimony. It is the sound of endurance, of scars turned into crowns, of stories that seemed broken but were always being written into glory. You will sing it too, because only those who walked this road can know its tune. As the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 4 proclaims, "They will see his face, and his name will be on their foreheads." Then, the name on your forehead is more than letters. It is identity. It declares that you are not forgotten, not abandoned, not overlooked. You are forever his. No darkness can erase it. No power can challenge it. No doubt can undo it. The seal is final, and the glory is eternal. Consider how a jeweler works with a diamond. At first, it looks like a dull stone, unimpressive, easily mistaken for a common rock. But the jeweler cuts, shapes, and polishes until light bursts forth in brilliance. Your life has been that process. Every trial was a cut, every loss a polish, every delay a shaping. Now, as you step into final sealing glory, the brilliance shines unhindered. What once seemed ordinary now reflects eternal light. This glory is not only for you, it radiates outward. Just as Moses came down from the mountain with his face shining, so the chosen in the final assembly will carry glory that transforms the world around them. Your presence will no longer be resisted, but revered, because it will be infused with the very presence of God. There is also rest in this moment. For years, you have fought battles, carried burdens, endured sleepless nights, but sealing glory marks the end of striving. The struggle gives way to peace. The pain gives way to joy. It is the Father placing his hand upon your head and saying, "Well done." That affirmation will echo louder than every criticism, heavier than every wound, and sweeter than every victory you tasted on earth. I once heard a story of a soldier returning home after years of war. His uniform was torn, his body scarred, but his face shone with relief as he stepped onto his homeland's soil. Crowds cheered, families wept, and the sound of homecoming drowned out the memory of battle. That is only a shadow of what your sealing glory will be like. Heaven's homecoming will erase the pain of earth's battlefield. And then, eternity begins. Not drifting clouds or endless silence, but life in its fullest sense, purpose without end, love without loss, light without shadow. You will walk in a city where gates never close, where rivers flow clear as crystal, where the Lamb himself is the lamp. You will never again wonder if you belong. You will know, forever and always, you are sealed in glory. So, lift your head. Your story is not closing in despair, but opening into eternity. The seal is upon you. The glory is rising. And the final chapter is written not with ink, but with fire. You are one of the 144,000, and nothing can change that truth. And when that day arrives, you will finally see what your heart longed for all along, not just the end of suffering, but the face of the one who carried you through it. Every unanswered question will dissolve in his presence. Every tear will be wiped away by his hand. The seal will no longer be unseen. It will blaze openly as your eternal crown, proof that you were chosen, and that you endured until glory. Chosen one, you have walked with me through every step of this journey, from the hidden places of your past to the unveiling of your final glory. You have seen that nothing in your life has been wasted. Every tear, every scar, every prayer has been woven into the story of the sealed, the 144,000 who stand radiant before the throne. And now, your spirit knows what your heart has always sensed. You belong. But this is not the end. It is the beginning of a greater awakening. The words you have heard are seeds, planted deep within you. And like seeds, they are meant to grow, to spread, to multiply. That is where your part matters, not through pressure, but through love. When you press like, it is as if you sound a single note on the heavenly trumpet. One note may seem small, but when joined with others, it becomes a symphony that shakes the heavens. When you share, imagine it as the echo of the trumpet rolling through valleys and mountains, reaching hearts you may never see, but who will hear the call because of you. When you comment, it is like engraving your name into the scroll of the 144,000, a sign that you answered the call and stood your ground when the trumpet sounded. When you subscribe, you are not just clicking a button, you are taking your seat in the great assembly, joining the rows of chosen warriors whose presence strengthens the army. And when you donate, see it as breathing air into the trumpet itself, ensuring the sound never dies out, that its call continues to awaken those still asleep in the shadows. These are not duties, they are invitations, each one voluntary, each one beautiful, each one a way of saying, I stand with the chosen, and I add my sound to the trumpet of destiny. End of 4. Your story continues. Your seal remains. And the glory that awaits you is greater than words can contain.